Welcome to another episode of Metal Matt Podcast, number 59, I believe. I'm your host, Metal Matt, and today we're going to be looking at a band that I'm really interested in listening to. Pretty good modern band, rock band, and that band is 3 Days Grace, and that should be a fun one. Before we get started, let's get some of the shout-outs done. Chucky's Playground, great place to be. We recently celebrated our first 1 year anniversary, and that was real cool as well. So definitely check us out. We're up to about 85 members, which is pretty cool. So we can definitely use some more members. I mean, join us. We have Chucky conversations, non-Chucky conversations. It's just an amazing place to be, awesome place. And Movie Mayhem with Spanky and G, they recently did an episode on the 1994 film North. And that was a really good episode that they did. North is often considered one of the worst films of all time. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think that there are much worse films out there. Movie 43, Rock of Ages. And, there's tons of other movies out there that are just terrible. Or I don't think North is really that terrible. But anyway, so definitely check out that episode of Movie Mayhem. I think that was really awesome episode. So yeah. And now it's time to get on to the main event, 3 Days Grace. And how I sort of discovered 3 Days Grace was they had two songs on WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, which came out in 2006, and those two songs were Riot and Animal I Have Become. And I think that those are two of their probably most popular songs. And that was a game that I used to play all the time, really. I mean, I just used to play it a lot. So I would hear those songs, constantly. I would play the general manager mode on there, and pretty much you'll hear the soundtrack over and over and over again. But one of the great things about that game was that it actually had a really great soundtrack. I mean, it really did. It had Nonpoint on there. Who else was on there? Blackstone Cherry. Just Rise Against. I mean, it really had a good soundtrack. Really some really good music in that mid 2000s era. But anyways, that's how I first learned about 3 Days Grace and Why I Become, and Riot off 1X. But we're going to be focusing first on their debut album, which is simply called 3 Days Grace. It's a self-titled album. And I really liked this album. I really did. I went into this not necessarily expecting terribleness, but I wasn't really expecting anything that great either. Because it was like a debut album. Not too many bands have good debut albums, but this is one of those cases where the debut album is actually really good. And it's a little bit rawer. It's a little bit less polished, I guess you would say. It's sort of like 3 Days Grace, or, they're sort of exploring who they are at first. They haven't really become the 3 Days Grace, but you can see that they have a lot of potential. Just really, really good, alternative metal, post-grunge, especially post-grunge, And I mean, there's just a lot of good songs on there. I Hate Everything About You. I hate everything about you. That's a really good one. Just Like You is great as well. Really good lyrics, and Home, a great one as well. And that's one thing that 3 Days Grace really does best, is when it tackles lyrics. Adam Gontier, or Gontier, however you say his last name, really does a great job with lyrics. He does a really great job writing lyrics and songs, and I think he might be one of the more underrated songwriters of this generation, of this whole 2000s generation because he writes some really good lyrics. He writes pretty personal lyrics and just really great. So I mean, yeah. So this is the first album. Burn is also a really good one as well. It really starts out the album off really well. Let You Down is really good as well. I mean, Overrated is good as well. I mean, just a lot of great stuff on here. If you like rock, give this a try. You know, just really, really good album. And it came out in one of my favorite musical years, 2003. And that's a great year for me personally. I just really loved that year in general. Pop culture was just awesome as hell. You had WWE, you had tons of stuff. Music, Lisa Marie Presley, Marilyn Manson, Metallica, just really cool stuff that came out. Weird Al, all kinds of great music that came out, that year. Movies, what have you. So 2003, I hold a special place for it in my heart. So anyway, the debut album, really good debut album. I mean, really, really good. Not too many bands really do good debut albums, but this is one of those exceptions. So definitely check that one out. And then we move on to 1X. And this is by far their best album. I dare say it's their magnum opus, really. Just really great lyrics, even better this time around. They're a bit more personal. I think it has better production because they worked with Howard Benson, and he's done so many. He's done so many bands. He's done stuff for Motorhead, Zebrahead, POD, Cold, Papa Roach. I mean, pretty much, like, if you want, like, an alternative metal kind of scene, he was kind of like that go-to guy. He also did Cedar. I mean, he just did a lot of good stuff, in the mid-2000s. And the production is really good on here as well. The lyrics might be even better this time around. They're a bit more personal and more deeper. And it's just really cool to see kind of into the mind of how it all worked. I think Adam wrote a lot of those songs during the rehab when he was recovering from a painkiller addiction. So it was really interesting lyrics this time around. Just a lot of great songs. Like I said, Analyze, Become, and Riot, those are really good as well. Pretty much every song on here is just good. If you want a good rock record, then definitely check this one out because this is really good. Definitely their best one as well. Never Too Late is great as well. Pain is good as well. Just a lot of great stuff on here. So definitely check it out. By far their best album. Then we move on to Life Starts Now. And I would say this isn't quite as good as the first two albums. But at the same time, though, it's still pretty good. I mean, it's a bit more lighter in terms of lyrics, which makes sense because I believe Adam was, of course, clean by this point in time. He was off painkillers and stuff like that. So it's a bit lighter in terms of lyrics. But it's still really good lyrics as well. And a lot of the songs on here are just awesome. Bitter Taste is really good. World's So Cold. Good one as well. Last to Know is very good. I mean, it is just absolutely great. I'd say it's the best song on here. It really is very light in terms of 3 Days Grace songs because it's sort of a departure. It's more ballad based, because for most of the song it just has a piano and Adam's vocals, but then midway through the song it kicks in. And I really like how it sort of explores Adam's vocal range. And Adams always had a really good vocal range, but this is a song where he definitely takes advantage of that. And it's great vocals on here, great songwriting, great performances. I mean, just best song on the track, best song on the album by far. Bully is also really good as well. So overall, it's a really good album. I wouldn't say it's as good as 1X or the debut album, but I still really think it's very good. I definitely give it a listen because it's still pretty good. Then we move on to Transit of Venus. And I have to say, I just, I wasn't really feeling this album. I don't know. I think it's probably one of their weaker ones, personally. And I really don't know why. The album starts out really good, like Chalk Outline, stuff like that is really good as well. Sign of the Times. The High Road is really where I kind of get lost. Because some songs on here, they're a bit more on the poppy side. They're a bit more on the commercial side. But that doesn't necessarily make it bad. It's just different. But I just really wasn't feeling this album. I don't know why. I'm not saying it's a bad album necessarily, but I don't know. I think it's a okay album at best, honestly. And Misery Loves My Company is really good as well. And Given to Me, which is a Michael Jackson cover, and I was not expecting that to be on an album. You know, when I first heard it, their opening sounded really familiar, and then when the vocals started, I was like, "Wow, this is a Michael Jackson cover," and I kind of like the Michael Jackson version just a little bit better. But this one is still really good as well. So overall, this is an okay album. Definitely not their best work, but I wouldn't really say it's awful either. I think it's a solid album at best. So then we move on to Human. And this is an interesting album for a lot of reasons. One, probably the most important one of them all, Adam Gontier left the band. He actually left the band. So that really, it really affects the band here. And, you know, just, I mean, it's just really not that good without Adam there, honestly. But, yeah. And I mean, overall, this album, I really wasn't feeling it. The new singer, I don't know. The new singer is okay, honestly. Like, he's not a bad singer. But he really doesn't have quite the vocal range that Adam did. And as far as the lyrics go on here, they leave a lot to be desired. They're not as good as stuff that Adam would write. They do kind of seem a bit repetitive. And, for as bad as the lyrics can be, the music on some of these can actually be really good. Like I Am Machine. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I Am Machine. And Painkiller, that's really pretty good as well, at least music-wise. But other than that, I just found the album to be rather forgettable. It's just, I don't know. It's different without Adam. It's just not the same without Adam, I mean... And I don't know. Maybe I just need a little bit more time to kind of get used to it. I don't know. But it just doesn't feel the same without Adam. I'd say this is their weakest album yet. But who knows? Maybe in the future the singer will improve. But just not the same without Adam. I like the Adam era personally, but more personally. But that's just me. So that's pretty much it for 3 Days Grace. Overall, I think they're a really good band, really good modern rock band. They really do know how to rock. Definitely great alternative metal band. Adam's lyrics are awesome as well. Like I said, underrated lyricist. Can't wait to see what he turns out in terms of solo stuff. I like the Adam Gontier era more personally, but that's just me. I'm not really feeling that new album, Human. But overall, 3 Days Grace is a really good rock band. So that's all for the Melmet Podcast, and I'll see you all next time.